When the Cayce readings describe the multiple dimensions of the universe, it is not simply a physics lesson, for modern physics tends to leave out the soul. In this context, the Earth is associated with 3 dimensions, and one of them is patience. Time, space, and patience, 3 interpenetrating aspects of the educational environment that souls inhabit on the way back to their source. This is what the Cayce readings assert, and when you sit with it, it turns out to be one of the most practically powerful ideas in all of the readings, precisely because it is the least expected. The readings are explicit that time, space, and patience together constitute the framework through which finite consciousness becomes aware of the infinite. Let us unpack this carefully because it is denser than it first appears. Time is the dimension of incremental learning. It allows the vast curriculum of soul development to be taken in small portions, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Without time, the immensity of the soul's journey from separation to companionship would be overwhelming. Time creates the sequence within which progress is possible. Space is the dimension of individuation. It provides the experience of separation, the awareness of distance between self and other, self and source, that is the necessary condition for genuine relationship. You cannot truly choose what you cannot be separate from. Space is the arena of creative freedom. And then patience, which at first seems like a virtue rather than a dimension. But consider what the readings say. There is no time, there is no space when patience becomes manifested in love. Patience, in the readings framework, is the dimension in which time and space are transcended, the quality of consciousness that can hold the whole process without contracting into urgency, resentment, or despair. Philosophy of time has long recognized that the experience of time is subjective. Einstein's theory of relativity showed that time itself is not absolute. It varies with velocity and gravitational field. What feels like a long wait depends entirely on the state of the observer. But the readings go further than relativizing time. They propose that patience is the quality of consciousness that stands outside time, that can hold the entirety of the soul's journey in a single awareness, despite its immense duration. This is not mere endurance. It is a mode of being in which the separation between your present experience and ultimate destination collapse. Think of it this way. Time and space allow the experience of being separate from what you most deeply want, oneness with your source, with full expression of your potential as an individual soul. This may feel like a gap. Impatience treats the gap as an obstacle, something that should not be there. Most of us experience the gap as something wrong, something that needs to be fixed or survived or overcome as quickly as possible. Patience is the willingness to inhabit the gap fully, trusting the educational process completely. Patience allows you to possess your soul while becoming full companions to your source. In other words, time and space offer the experience of knowing yourself to be yourself as a separate individual soul, yet with patience, to be one with the whole called God. That is the purpose of being. When that happens, the readings say there is no time, there is no space. The dimension of patience opens into something beyond the three-dimensional educational environment entirely. It is the doorway to what the readings call the eternal now. The eternal now is one of the most consistent themes across mystical traditions, philosophical idealism, and modern physics. Einstein wrote near the end of his life, "To those of us who believe in physics, this separation between past, present, and future is only an illusion, if a stubborn one." The philosophy of eternalism, that past, present, and future all exist simultaneously, runs from Parmenides through Spinoza through St. Augustine to Einstein's relativity. The mystic poet William Blake saw the past, present, and future existing all at once before him. The readings affirm this with characteristic directness. Remember, in spirit, there is no time but now. But the readings also acknowledge the practical difficulty of this for finite minds. The path from finite experience of sequential time to the eternal now is through patience, which is why patience appears as the third dimension alongside time and space. It is not a soft virtue added to a hard metaphysics. It is the living practice through which the constraints of time and space are gradually loosened until consciousness can rest in the nowness that has always been the deeper reality. There is a practical application here that is distinct from anything in the standard literature on patience as a personal virtue. The readings frequently addressed individuals who were frustrated with the pace of their spiritual development or with difficult life circumstances that seemed to have no resolution. The counsel was consistent: meet each day, each interaction, each trial with patience. Not as passive resignation, but as active trust in the purposefulness of the process. The readings make the three-dimensional model explicit in terms of human activity. Meeting yourself. The Akashic record, karma, the educational framework of time and space, all of it converges on this. The circumstances of your life are the curriculum your soul enrolled in. Patience is not waiting for the curriculum to end. It is learning to engage it fully without the distortion of urgency or resistance, so that what it has to teach can actually reach you. When patience is genuinely manifested, not performed but lived, the readings say that time and space dissolve. The eternal now becomes accessible not as an abstract philosophical proposition, but as a direct experience of the soul's true nature. The universe in the Cayce Readings framework is a school. Time gives it sequence. Space gives it the experience of separation necessary for genuine relationship. And patience is the quality of consciousness that makes the school's curriculum teachable and eventually transcendable. This is not a conventional metaphysics of spacetime. It is a practical ontology, one that places a virtue at the center of reality's structure and challenges the seeker to develop it not as a personality trait, but as a mode of spiritual being. Where in your life right now is the gap between where you are and where you want to be? What would it look like to hold that gap with patience? Not as resignation, but as trust in the educational process of soul development, and what might become accessible when such patience is achieved.